So in today's class, we'll discuss the main important points from this sound chapter. So what are the things you have learnt about the sound chapter? So do you remember what are the things we have discussed in class?
Yes, Miss.
So what is the main point you remember regarding sound? Just tell me the highlights. What are the points we have discussed? ಏನೇನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್?
Types of waves, Miss.
Yes, so you remember types of waves.
Transversal wave and longitudinal wave, ma'am.
Transversal waves and longitudinal waves. Then, very good. Then next, just tell me, ಏನೇನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ನೆನಪಿದೆ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ 2 ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಏನೇನ್ ನೆನಪಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ. Just recalling the points that we have discussed in the last class.
Frequency.
Miss.
Amplitude.
Effects of
Frequency.
sound.
Amplitude we have discussed. Then
Pitch, ma'am.
pitch, yes. Then
Wavelength, ma'am.
wavelength.
Wave motion.
Okay. Wavelength we have discussed. Then
Vocal cords, Miss.
vocal cords. Okay, so how we are able to produce the sound. So on that we have discussed. Then
Vibration.
vibrations. Okay, so these are some of the points that we have discussed in the previous class. So that is when you are coming to school, so in that time we have discussed all these points. So in today's class we'll start with the chapter, so that is the production of sound, how sound is produced. Now you can see in this picture, so production of sound. Sound is produced by vibration of objects. So whenever you vibrate any objects, then sound is produced. So how they will vibrate? So they make to and fro motion. So you can observe here, it is a tuning fork. So this we call it as tuning fork. So the picture you can see here, this we call it as the tuning fork. Okay. So tuning fork will be like this. You can see in the picture, so that we call it as tuning fork. And tuning fork, when you hit that tuning fork to a rubber cork, so what happens? The tuning fork prongs. So this, the two ends, what you can see here, these two we call it as prongs of the tuning fork. Prongs. So they start vibrating. When you hit this tuning fork to a rubber pad, the prongs of that will start vibrating. That prongs will vibrate so fast that you will not be able to see that vibrations also. 512 hertz. I told you while explaining about the frequency, hertz, 512 hertz. So what it indicates, 512 hertz andre, what I have written there, number 512 hertz. What do you call that number? ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀರಿ ಅದನ್ನ? Explain in class. So it is frequency. Do you remember? So it is frequency. So frequency is 512 hertz, means when you hit a tuning fork of frequency 512 hertz to a rubber cork, that prongs will vibrate 512 times in 1 second. So it is so fast that you will not be able to see with your eyes. So that vibration is how you can come to know whether the tuning fork prongs are vibrating or not. For that, near a tennis ball, so table tennis ball, so this is a support for this, thread is taken, and for that table tennis ball is tied, and if you bring this tuning fork near to that, this tuning fork because of the prongs, that ball will move away. So that shows that The prongs of the tuning fork is vibrating, produces sound. Okay, is it clear, children? And this also some activities. All of you are at home, means now you can do this activity and just check it. If you just take a plate and hit that plate with a spoon, so what you are able to get? ಏನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ?
Vibration ಬರುತ್ತೆ miss.
So you are able to observe the vibration, and along with the vibration, what you get?
Waves miss.
You get sound. Sound is produced. So that vibrations is nothing but sound is produced when you are hitting a plate. So even the plate also vibrates to and fro motion. You can see in the that plate's surface also gets to and fro motion. But compared to the size of that plate, vibration, the vibrations is so small that you will not be able to. But in case of rubber band ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ತಂತಿಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು just if you plug that rubber band, so you'll be able to observe the vibrations in that rubber band, because the stretching of rubber band, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಉದ್ದ ಅಗಲ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಚ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಆ ಲೆಂತ್ ಗಿಂತಲೂ vibrations ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ you will be able to observe the vibrations produced in the rubber band, but not in case of plate. Okay, so that is why how you can come to know that sound is produced by vibration of objects. And this best example we have seen in the class. Just if you keep your two fingers on your throat and say sound is a form of. So we did that activity in class. When you scream like that, you can feel the vibrations produced in your vocal cords. So the vibration of vocal cords in humans leads to the production of sound. I hope everything is clear related to production of sound for you now. All of you understood now how sound is produced by vibrations?
Yes miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes miss.
Any doubts in this?
No miss.
Okay, so this is how sound is produced by vibration. Then next we'll see, in this production of sound we have propagation of sound. So propagation of sound, how sound can propagate from one medium to another medium. So see children, in your textbook they have given one activity. So page number 161, you can do that at home. So what is that activity given? You should take a tin can, remove the ends and make it a hollow cylinder, and you will get the balloon also. So you just tie that balloon on one side, and on the balloon itself you should place one small mirror. Okay, and you should uh, just apply that paste that mirror on the place where you have put that balloon, and from the other end, if you just blow air inside that, you can see in the picture. So you can observe that the light after reflection, if you just leave light on that mirror, then and you blow, then you can observe that the light appears to be dancing, the dancing light spot. So ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಮನೇಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Now you will be getting ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕೂಡ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಟಿನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕೂಡ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಲೂನ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣದು ಮಿರರ್ ಪೀಸ್, ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಕನ್ನಡಿ ಹೊಡೆದೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರದ್ದೊಂದು ಮಿರರ್ ಪೀಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಚ್ಡ್ ಬಲೂನ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಬಲೂನ್ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ. Then you can just blow air from one side. ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಟಾರ್ಚ್ ಇಂದ ಮಿರರ್ಗೆ ಲೈಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಆ ಲೈಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ವೈಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವೈಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅದೇನು ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದಟ್ ಆನ್ ದ ವಾಲ್. Okay, so this activity you do it and you will understand clearly that sound is produced by vibrations. Okay children, then moving on to this topic, propagation of sound. So propagation, what do you understand by this word propagation? Propagation andre enu? What do you understand from that word propagation? So that is movement of sound. So sound, will the sound waves move? So I told you sound waves are produced by vibrations. So if you want to call somebody, when the sound waves produced by your mouth, if they move, then only the other person can hear. ನೀವು ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ಕರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ ಬಾಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದ ಸೌಂಡ್ ವೇವ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಹತ್ರ ಹೋದ್ರೇನೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ. Okay, right? So how the sound waves can travel from one medium to another medium. So what are the different mediums we have? Like solids, liquids and gases. So these are the mediums we have: solid, liquid and gases. So sound can travel through all three mediums: solid medium, liquid medium and also gas medium. So how it can travel? So when an object vibrates, first when you observe a bell without, suppose if you are not touching that bell, so bell ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಬೆಲ್ ನೀವು ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡೋಕಿನ ಮೊದಲು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? ದಟ್ ಬೆಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್. The bell is in equilibrium position. The bell is not producing any vibrations and it is not producing any sound. So initially the bell will be in equilibrium position. And now what happens when you apply a force on that? When you apply force on that bell, what that it starts producing vibrations. Suppose ನೀವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? Physically you are applying force for that bell. So whenever you just ring the bell, you should remember that you are applying force on that bell. So when you are applying force on that bell, what happens? That force will be exerted on the particles in the bell, and the particles which are at equilibrium start to move. So starts to move and they will start to and fro motion. And these to and fro motion, so the to and fro motion of that vibrations, what happens? So they start coming out. So how the disturbances travel through the medium, so that is in the form of waves. The waves, so a wave is a disturbance that is produced in the medium. So when these vibrations are produced by the particles in the bell, that vibrations will be transferred to the molecules in the atmosphere, and those molecules will carry that vibrations. So what type of waves will carry that vibrations? I told you, what type of waves will carry that vibrations?
Transverse wave and longitudinal.
In case of the sound wave, get only longitudinal waves. So transverse waves we can see in case of light waves. So light is transferred from one medium to another medium in the form of transverse waves. But in case of sound waves, we get only longitudinal waves. We will be having only longitudinal waves in case of sound waves. But in case of light waves, when we discuss about light, along with the longitude, not along with the longitudinal waves, complete all the waves we call it as, all the light waves we call it as the transverse waves only. And now you can see here the propagation of sound through air medium. So how sound can travel through air medium? So if you observe in this, the most common medium through which sound travels is air medium. So whenever we are talking, so normally we are present in air medium means so the sound produced by us will move obviously in air medium only. So I told you the tuning fork of the tuning fork vibrate, and those vibrations will be transferred to the air molecules in the atmosphere. So that air molecules, that air molecules start vibrating. So how they start vibrating? When these prongs move in the backward direction, so backward to forward direction, with forward direction, there you get compressions. And when the prongs will move in the backward direction, their point will decrease and you get a rarefactions. So compressions and rarefactions you get because of the vibrations produced. So these vibrations, if they produce high pressure, then that we call it as compressions, and low pressure we call it as rarefactions. Rarefactions. So rarefactions and compressions already I explained in class. So how the waves looks like compressions and rarefactions you can see in the picture here. So compressions and rarefactions are produced due to the changes in pressures in the atmosphere. So high pressure idre compressions, low pressure points idre rarefactions. About the compressions and rarefactions whenever sound is produced by any you get compressions and rarefactions. Clear, children?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. So sound waves are longitudinal waves. We said we have discussed that sound waves are longitudinal waves, compressions and rarefactions. So you can see in this link, ಜಾತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ key. So that you can take and just the compressions and rarefactions to get to observe the compressions and rarefactions. So here in that the we call it as compressions and the less rarefactions. And here you can see prongs of the tuning fork. If the prongs of the tuning fork are like this, that is the how the sound waves are produced. The difference in sound waves produced for different shape of the fork. Okay, and one more thing you should remember: in longitudinal waves, the particles vibrate parallel to the direction of the disturbance. Whenever you are, it will always move parallel like this, and the transverse waves take oscillate waves. So perpendicular means so here light waves. I told you light transverse waves. So that transverse waves will always vibrate perpendicular. But here the sound waves will travel parallel to the disturbance produced in the medium. Okay, so this shows that sound waves are longitudinal waves. Understood? So that sound waves are the longitudinal waves. They will have compressions and rarefactions, and the particles will vibrate parallel to the direction of propagation, and the light waves are transverse waves. Are the transverse waves, and the particles in that and down, that is perpendicular to the propagation of direction. These are the main important points you should remember. So that is about the sound waves, how it's produced and how they are propagated. Now you can see sound needs a medium to travel. So here is one experiment given for you. So this is a famous experiment, the bell jar experiment for the sound waves. So in this experiment, they'll take a jar, glass jar. Inside that glass jar, they'll place a clock. So clock, a bell you can place, electric bell, and then first initially the bell is made to oscillate. So that is first when you switch on that bell, then what happens? The bell starts to oscillate. Then see the vacuum pump. Using that vacuum pump, then all that air is removed. When you are removing out that pump, then what happens? You send the signals to this electric bell. This electric bell will vibrate, but the sound produced you will not be able to. So that is because once you remove all the air, create vacuum inside the bell jar, then sound waves cannot travel through the medium. So that is a vacuum medium. Experiment shows that sound requires a medium for its propagation. Okay, children. So this experiment, regarding this experiment, I wanted to give you one activity. That activity you should do it for today. What you should do, take one bell. So chikkadu bell siguttalla, that bell you should take. Gante, bell andre enu gante. So gante illa andru normally ಹಸುಗಳಿಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಗಂಟೆ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಆ ತರದ್ದು ಚಿಕ್ಕದು ಗಂಟೆನೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನೀವು ಹಳೆ ಶಾಪ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕದು ಗಂಟೆ ತರ ಕೊಡ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ and put it in one balloon. So balloon you will be easily getting. So you should put that inside that balloon and you should blow air inside that balloon and then you should vibrate it. ಆ ಬಲೂನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಗಂಟೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಲೂನ್ ನ ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಟೈಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು then you should vibrate it. So ಆ ಬಲೂನ್ ಅಲ್ಗಾಡಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಲೂನ್ ವೈಬ್ರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಗಂಟೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. So then sound is produced from that bell. This is one activity. Okay, first activity, you are just taking a balloon, then inside that balloon you are putting a bell and you vibrate it. Okay, so that is the first activity you should do. Then second activity what you should do, you should take another balloon you should take and fill that balloon half with water. Half balloon you should fill with water and put bell inside that and just oscillate that balloon. Okay, then second activity is half filled with water. Okay, then third activity you should do it, completely cover that balloon, that is the bell and the balloon, with water and put some vibrations and observe the sound produced by that bell. Okay, these three activities you should do it. Either you can, if you are able to record that video, you can use only one balloon and one bell. First ಒಂದು ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದನ್ನ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. Then add some water inside the seed balloon and you can do it. Then fully fill that balloon with water and do that activity and check it. Okay, ಈ ಮೂರುದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಏನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ empty balloon you are taking, second one half filled with water, and third one completely filled with water. Okay, so ಈ activity ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಏನ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು ಆಲ್?
Yes, miss.
Activity. So I think
Yes, miss.
ಬಲೂನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೆಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬಲೂನ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಒಂದು empty balloon, second one half filled with water, and third one completely filled with water. Okay, these three you should do it and you should tell me what is the result of 3 activities in your next class. Okay, so if you have any doubts regarding today's class, you can ask me, children. Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No doubts?
No, miss.
Okay, so if you don't have any doubts, then you can leave the class. We'll continue with the next class. Next class ಬರೋಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಈ 3 activities ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು. Okay?